Okay, so we're going to look at budgets and timelines today for this project, and so you won't need to use the CAD software or anything like that for a little while, and we're going to start looking at using some other programs, particularly Excel, as a simple tool to create things like Gantt charts, but also your costing, which you can just do as a schedule. So the resource you have on the P drive, let's show you where that is. So going to the P drive and then interior design, construction 2, and then resources. You see then you have a folder, design project resources, where I've put a range of different files that should help you with this part of the project. And so the first one I'm going to open up is the building sequence there. So, oops, just cancel that. So that just has a list or a standard order of your building works. So that should be a good guide for you to work out the order of the different trades and the other things you need to consider throughout your building project. And so all of these things could be included in the building sequence timeline that you're going to prepare. Okay, so you shouldn't be preparing a document like this. This is just a guide so that you know the order of the trades. So reading through there, you can see obviously we go from the initial set out and the temporary facilities to the actual trade. So not all of these are going to apply. You're probably not going to be putting in a new concrete slab, but you will definitely be having the carpenter first fix there, doing your wall and other framing. You won't be having roof framing, but you'll definitely be having wall framing, and then certain joinery units, not all of the joinery, but some of the joinery will go in after that, and then the plumbing and so on. And so all of those things can be laid out then in a timeline in what's called a Gantt chart. So I've given you a few different examples of Gantt charts set up in Excel. I'm just going to open them for you so you can see. And so this is really so you can see what a Gantt chart looks like if you haven't seen one before. It's fairly simple. Once you know what they are, they're extremely simple things. You just have the tasks outlined, usually on the left-hand side, in your row headings, and then the dates laid out in the columns. And so then you can have these bars which give you an idea how all those laid out in a sequence and which ones need to happen sequentially, one after the other, and which can happen in tandem or at the same time, so you can have some of them overlapping. Now, this example is using some of the more advanced features in Excel, which will automatically generate a Gantt chart once you type in dates in this table on the left. That's a pretty useful approach, but one I probably wouldn't recommend at first if you're new to Excel. So I'm going to close that one. And then you see I've given you another example, which is set up a bit more simply. So here you can see you just have the tasks, again laid out on the left, and we're actually using the cells there and just applying different shading for those different bars there. Okay, so this one probably has a lot more, a lot more tasks, but also over a very short period there. And yours will probably look a bit different to that, but I just wanted to show you some different examples of Gantt charts before we try and make one. And so I think I gave you some other examples as well. Here we are. So here's another one. You can. I think it's easier to do it from scratch, because then if you've made it, you know how it's been set up, and the formatting and all those other things are usually a bit easier to control. So I've really just given you these so you've got some examples to base it on, but I wouldn't start with these, and that's what I find with a lot of things these days, particularly all of the Office Suite programs. You can get lots of templates and things like that online, but I find they actually slow me down and end up creating work for me, because again, the formatting can be set up in unusual ways. Different people have different styles of working, and so you often have to spend a lot of time working out how on earth they've formatted these things before you can really make adjustments. But if you do the formatting yourself as you go along, then you know how it's been done and a lot easier to make adjustments. So again, I'm just giving you these examples so you know what they look like. Here's another example. But again, I think it's often easier to just start from scratch. They're such a simple and easy thing to create, and also get you more familiar with Excel if you do just create them from scratch. So I'm just going to open up Excel, show you how easy it is. So if you haven't used Excel very much, it's very similar to Word, of course, and so you have all the same options for formatting, and you also have cell styles, which are very similar to styles that you have in Word as well. Okay, so you can use these to do quick formatting. And so there we can put a heading in and call this Studio. Oops. Sorry, there we go. Studio. Just that caps lock on there. Apartment. Project. Timeline. And then task on the left hand side, and so that could be heading 2. You can of course just adjust the width of the columns by dragging between the cells or in between the headings, and then the dates running along. So probably not a bad idea to maybe leave space for the weekends, but you're probably going to avoid having the weekends at first. So if we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sorry, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so when you right click, you can go to column width, and so just in case you missed that, you can select the whole columns just by clicking on the heading. You can also just select individual columns actually to do this, because it's going to change the whole column width anyway, but it is handy to select the whole column like that. So when you right click, you can go to column width. You can also go to format and then choose column width from there, and then type in a smaller value. So I might have 4 there as the width, and then we can put the heading there. So that would be, well, let's just keep it simple and say week 1 for now. Won't put in an exact date. So notice if you don't change any options, it should go across the cells, and then we can have the days down here. Now, I might want the task actually to go on the next line down, so I can always just select one of the rows there the same way as the columns, just clicking on the heading there, right click, and then you can go to insert to add in a new row above, and then I can move week 1 up to the to that row just by selecting that cell and then moving to the border and dragging from the edge there to move that up. And so now I can put my my days, and it's actually interesting. What do you think the first day of the week is? You're actually right. What does anyone think that it should be something different? It used to be Sunday. Sunday has always been the first day of the week until I think last year. Yeah, the International Standards Organisation finally changed it to Monday, but Sunday, yeah, that was always the first day. Saturday was the last day of the week, technically, and Monday was the first day of the working week. So, so you'll find a lot of people will still be being fussy and try and begin it on Sunday, but it's perfectly acceptable now to begin on Monday. So we can just have M, T, W, T, H, F for Friday, and then Saturday, and Sunday. Oops. Where is it? Here we go. Sunday. Something like that to label those days, and then maybe centre those, something like that. Again, the formatting is really up to you. Just want to give you a rough idea. So. Oh, that's going to get up to research. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now I can maybe look at making those columns a little bit narrower. So if I select them, right-click and again go to column width, and maybe we can try going down to 3. And that's probably not bad. I just want to show you what happens if I go down too far. If we go down to, let's make it 1. You'll see then they overlap, and if you have values, sometimes you get a hash symbol to show you that it can't fit the value into that cell. So, so just watch out for that. And so going back to there, maybe 2. And you can also change the font size as a group just by selecting the cells, and then you can change the font really quickly up there. Again, like Word. You can also do borders. So around these cells, we could look at having a border using the different borders options you have there. I won't spend too long on those, pretty obvious what they do. And so I'll just do a quick outline around those. And so now I can duplicate those cells just by selecting, and then right-click and copy. And you don't need to select the same area. You can just select one cell, right-click, and then paste. So you can see there you have different options, and it's pretty good these days. You can just hover over them to see what the result's going to be. So I'm just going to use the first option there. But you can see it doesn't look the same because my widths are different. So I'd still need to select these cells, and probably because I'm going to be doing several weeks, I'll just select the whole range of cells and set the width of those to 2 to match the others. Okay, so I'll change this to week 2. And then now, and I might also just put that, that border around those as well. Probably make that look a bit nicer afterwards, but that'll do for now. And so then I'm going to show you a really useful trick. If you select both of these areas, in fact, so I'm just going to put some borders around around the weeks as well. So I'm going to select both of those areas with weeks 1 and 2, and then drag out from the bottom right corner there. And Excel's really clever in the way that it will detect any incrementing values. So I'm just going to drag this out to the right, to the end of where I've set those column widths. And so notice how it's automatically detected that the weeks are incrementing. So it adds the numbers for those, but it's left the days as they are. Okay, so then I can work my way down and start adding in the tasks. I can of course extend that as I need it. And so going back to that file I showed you earlier, we can simply start from the beginning and identify all those elements that are required. So I'm just going to drag this over so I can read those off. And so I can just call this first one set out, and then allocate at least a few days for that. And you can just do simple colour fills for those. And it's that easy. So next element, the water service for this one is definitely something you need to do, but it's going to be a bit different to normal, so we'll just allow a amount of time for that. But definitely put that in, and so maybe that could be overlapping even, and again, not much time for that one. Temporary site facilities, again for this one, a bit different to normal, but we'll be needing something, so put that in. Now, if this was a file formatted properly, I'm just going to open it in Reader. So, in regular Acrobat, not Reader. So you can always in here right click on any file and then go down to Open With and choose Acrobat DC, not Acrobat DC Reader. And then if the file is formatted with regular characters, you can select them, but here you can see it's not. So that's been scanned in, which means I can't select that text, unfortunately, to copy it across. So I just need to go and type those in. You can see here again the text doesn't fit, so I can always just drag that column over as well. So again, we can continue entering those things in. So again, you might not need all of them. Excavation won't apply to this project, but then and again, building set out again probably won't be all that relevant here because it's within an existing space. Same with footing excavation. But then sanitary plumber definitely will apply. Okay, so you just have to do some research though to work out how long each of those things will take, and check with me as you go along if you're not sure. But at first, just try to do as much research as you can to find out how long those things will take. This document will actually give you a bit of a guide, but you can also find a lot of information online for all these different things. And so in the end you'll have a full timeline that will probably have maybe 20 or 30 items on the left there, and be assuming at least a couple of months for a project like this. There you go. Right, so should be a fairly easy one, but again, this is really useful work to prepare for your building projects when you have something that you're building in reality, and you'll find that you need to adjust things as you go along as well, because trades will get held up and supplies will get delayed, so you often need to change these things, but you at least want to make a plan and have some idea how long everything's going to take, and especially which things can overlap. Also, which items need to happen in sequence. So some things, of course, can't happen until something else has occurred. So obviously, well, actually just maybe looking at this in a little bit more detail, we've looked at the what was the first fix? The carpenter first fix. So do you have an idea why you have the first fix for some of these items? Like the carpenter, for example, or so that's when they come in for their first part of their work. Maybe an easy one to think about is electrical first fix. Okay, so well, you can see it tells you there what electrical first fix is. That's when they come in and put in the cables that are going to connect the power and the lighting and everything else, and that needs to go inside the walls and the other framing that you have. So that goes in before the wall lining's been put on, of course, because obviously... Exactly, so the light switches, the light fittings, that goes in after the wall lining and everything else has been put in. So that's the second fix, which you can see further down here. So those things need to happen in sequence. Right, so the plumbing first fix, again, same idea. The pipes and the other things that need to go inside the walls need to go in before things like the wall lining. And so as the project managers, you need to work out the sequence of all of those events and lay it out in a timeline. That's right, many things can overlap, and that's a really good way of cutting down time in your project when you work out that some things can happen at the same time, and you might, if you get delays, you can sometimes bring things forward if it's possible. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, well, not. Yes, that's right. So if it's a large project, then they could overlap. But if it's, that's right, smaller projects, it's more difficult. So again, you just need to work those things out. Larger projects, they'll have more time overall for those things, though. So again, those are all things you need to plan out. Okay, so if you haven't used Excel very much, really easy program to use. Make sure you're aware there are other alternatives, and if you're doing a lot of project management, I'd highly recommend looking at a program like MS Project, which is a fantastic tool for creating things like Gantt charts. But if it's just a quick and simple one like this, then Excel is absolutely fine.